All right, we're going to be using National Geographic's MapMaker Interactive to learn more about the precipitation and vegetation types or land cover in this region right here. So just to orient you guys, here's North America. New York State, New York City would be right about here. And this region that we're going to zoom in on is India and Nepal. So if you remember from Unit 2, there's a plate boundary here. There's a convergent plate boundary, and it's that convergence, that coming together, that is forming this very prominent mountain chain. So this is an active mountain building event. These are some of the tallest mountains on Earth, and they are still getting taller. This is the mountain chain where Mount Everest is located. So right now, we've got a couple layers on this map, neither of which is turned on. We're going to start with looking at land cover. So I'm going to slide the transparency up a little bit, or down, I guess, so we can see all these different colors. All right? And we can still see that mountain chain cutting through here. Now, in order to figure out what each of the colors stands for, we have to go to the legend. So when we look at the legend, we can see that each color represents a different type of land cover. Some of them are vegetation or plants. Some of them are not, like bare ground. Obviously not vegetation, no plants grown on bare ground. The easiest way to think about this is that the greener the color, the more greenish the color, that's your vegetation. That's plants. We're going to describe that as forested. So our wooded grassland. Wooded means there are trees there. So our wooded grassland is forested. Same with woodland, mixed forest, and both of our deciduous forests and evergreen forests. So all of those greenish colors are going to signify a forested region. Whereas all of the other colors, the orange, the pale yellow, the brown, all that, those are going to be non-forested regions. Okay? The purple here is kind of a weird one because that stands for cropland. That's where people are growing crops. In this part of the world, it's mostly tea. But so it is still vegetation. It is still plants, but it was just planted by humans instead of naturally occurring. So when you go to fill out your data table, remember that the mountain chain here is our dividing line. And we're comparing what's north of the mountain chain to what's south of the mountain chain. So take a look at both sides and ask yourself, what colors do I see the most of north of the mountain chain? Does that tell me if that area is forested or not forested? And then same thing for south. What colors do you see the most of? And does that tell you if that region is forested or not forested? And then you're going to record that information in your data table. After you've done that, we're going to take a look at precipitation. So I'm going to turn off the land cover, and we're going to turn up the precipitation layer so we can see a different suite of colors. So again, if we want to know what the colors stand for, we're going to go back to the legend, and we can see that each of these colors corresponds to an amount of rainfall, a range of numbers. This range of numbers tells us an amount of precipitation that each region receives on a yearly or annual basis. So if you look at the numbers, you can see that the red, the orange, and the yellow, those are smaller numbers. That means less precipitation. So those regions are going to be drier. Whereas the bluer the color, the more precipitation that region receives annually. So the wetter that region will be. So again, same deal. Here's our mountain chain. We're going to look at the area north of the mountain chain. What's the most predominant color? What colors do you have the most of? And does that tell you if that area is wet or dry? Then we're going to do the same thing to the south. What colors do you see the most of? And does that tell you if that area is wet or dry? Then you're going to record that in your data table. And once we've done that, we're going to be done with this website for the time being. We're going to come back to this website for location 2. And location 2 is going to be over here. So here's location 1. Location 2 is going to be over here in South America. These are the Andes Mountains. And we're going to be comparing the western and eastern sides of the Andes Mountains for location 2. So you're going to have to follow those same steps where you turn the layers on and off and look at the legend and figure out those same criteria for this different location.